What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Allow me to introduce myself. I am commonly known to you as Carcino, and Carcino is known for doing these videos here. We talk about the truth behind the television shows. We talk about the truth behind hip hop, boxing. You don't want to be left out, so make sure you subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss anything. And this is a video I thought I've done before. And people say, no, you haven't. But we need the truth behind a different world. That television show. I'm like, man, I didn't do a different world. I could have sworn I did. But they was like, no, you did. You talked about, Lisa Bonet when she was on the show with Bill Cosby and how that happened. But you never went into the whole show of a different world. So I said, I'm sorry. Apologize about that. So let me go into a different world. Now, A Different World is a spinoff of The Cosby Show. So when A Different World first came out, everybody was like ecstatic to see it because it was going to be a show about Denise. We didn't know really what it was going to look like and how the show was going to proceed in the future. But the show evolved and became bigger and better than what we actually knew. But as we do, we always go back to the beginning of things. And when you look at A Different World, you're looking at a show that was the first that we've seen of people of color going to a university and how college life was for us who never been. So we didn't know what college was like. A lot of blacks at that time weren't even thinking college was a reality for them. It was college is for people who are basically in the mid upper class, middle class. You know, they kids go to college. You got to get a job. So this was letting people know that college life is not what you think it is, and this is what really goes on. These are some of the things that happen in the college world. When Bill Cosby first was thinking about doing A Different World, it was at the same time of the Cosby Show. So we're talking 82 and 1983. Yep, I know. It seems weird, doesn't it? They were talking about doing a show with Bill Cosby based on his life. In 82 or 81, when they were coming over, saw one of Bill Cosby's stand-up and thought it'd be funny if he did one on, a sitcom based on his life. So with this being the case, things have transpired to a better situation for, I would say, the entire cast of A Different World. Because there wasn't even a inkling of anybody trying to do this show. Bill had dreams of this being a spinoff of The Cosby Show after about 2 years of doing The Cosby Show. He wanted to spin off some of the characters because he felt it was going to be too colluded on with that many children on a television show. So to have it spin off and then have the kids all go off into a different world. That would have been just epic. And then it'll be the cast members, and they would bring in new cast members, and the staple would always be Bill and Claire. That was Bill's plan when he came up with the idea for a different world. Now, a different world, when they were going to pitch a different world, when they were doing it, when they originally came up with the script to do the show A Different World, Bill Cosby's oldest daughter, she was who went to Hillman, which is like basically the Spelman for the Cosby world. This is the show that, I mean, the college that he graduated from. And the oldest daughter went there. The show A Different World was supposed to start with his oldest daughter. It wasn't supposed to be with Lisa Bonet. That's why when they first had her as a reoccurring character on the show, that's was what the idea was at first. That they were going to use her to start a new show. Well, a lot of people didn't like who they casted as his older daughter, as she was, basically white. So when you saw Sandra and you saw how light she was compared to everybody else, they were just like, huh? She's like basically white. So her character was eased in very slowly. And they ended up making her a permanent character, but they were thinking of doing the show with Sandra. But because of the early backlash they got with Sandra's complexion, putting her at Spelman would have been more of a, you know, at Hillman rather, would have been more controversy for A Different World. And you don't want to do that. So they brought her on the Cosby Show and made her full time on the Cosby Show, as A Different World was put on the back burner. So as the show Cosby Show is doing well, 2 seasons in, they're like, look, we gotta, get this thing going with A Different World. After the first season, Bill was like sitting down and working with people and saying what we got to do for A Different World. So he's talking to Tom Werner and Bernie Kodoff, who was the producer, and said, we can get this going. And Tom Warner's like, I don't know about this different world. We should probably wait another year. He said, no, we need to get this going now. Bill knew, like, the timing is of the essence. The kids are going to need to move on. And Denise is getting older, and it's time for her to move out and go to college and do all these things. And we can make space on the show for the other characters. So she'll have her own show, and that was it. She was supposed to be the one. So when the show came out after, let me see, 84, they were writing it in 84, right after the first season of the Cosby Show. They're already writing and planning for it. So Tom Warner's there for the run, and his production company is basically handling A Different World. Now, Bill came up with the creation of the whole thing, but Bill Cosby Productions was not associated with it. Now, they brought on a lot of different people to work. Debbie Allen was brought in to work on this show as well with this cast, and they had a different approach and different people to come in. They had a lot of people that came in after a couple of seasons to start producing the show and taking it in different directions. And there were plenty of writers on this show that did some riskier things on here that they couldn't do on the Cosby Show. They talked about HIV, AIDS, early pregnancy, and how these things go about in the world of college and being free, and how to protect yourself. They all different type of racism, riots, events that have happened in life, child abuse. It was no subject that they did not cover, and you grew with the characters. So when Denise got tabbed to be the one to go to Hillman and open the show, she had her own show. Out of everybody on the Cosby Show, they felt that Denise would be the one to start the show with, Lisa Bonet. That's how well Lisa Bonet character was accepted on the Cosby Show. Her fashion, her attitude, her outlook on life, the way she dated, she was like trying to find herself. She didn't know what she wanted to do. She didn't know she wanted to be a designer one minute. She wanted to travel the world. She was all trying to find herself, and every guy she dated was different for that whatever moment in time. She dated a Rastafarian, I said, hey, mom, him. So for her to go to the show of a different world was great because you could start off with someone who's trying to find themselves. Bill Cosby's, related this to his own daughter, who really couldn't find her place. She was all over the place, and Denise's character was basically representing her. So when she went to college, and he said, well, that's when people normally find out what it is that they want to do with the rest of their lives. Because what people really don't realize in life is that you at 25 would probably never think about at 40 what you would be doing right now for the rest of your life. You probably had a whole different idea of what you would be doing for the rest of your life at 20 than what you're doing now at like 40 or something. So it's quite interesting. Now, getting into the show, when they made this show, they decided that they wanted to go into which I would call a safe direction, with these historical black colleges and all this different things. But they were taking more of a safe approach. And at first, when they first got started, just to get you introduced to the characters. So it was more the fun, the comedy, the guys, Wayne, played by Kadeem Hardison, and his best friend Ron, and how they hitting on the girls. That's college. Guys hitting on girls and all this stuff. And then you starting to see how the show was going into a different realm. Now, during the first season of the show, because Maria Tomei was on the show and she was great as Lisa Bonet's friend, who played Denise Huxtable, and Dwayne Wayne was in love with Lisa Bonet's character. And at the end of the show, they were starting to build in a chemistry at the end of the first season, as he wasn't just seen as the goofy kid who was at college. He actually was the one that was going to end up being the love interest of Lisa Bonet's character, Denise. And eventually they were going to get married. Yeah, Dwayne Wayne was supposed to marry Denise, not Whitley. Well, of course, everybody, I think we all know that now. But that character, they were supposed to be married. And that was going to be her family. She was going to have her family with Dwayne Wayne. And he was not the character that she was going to like. And then at the end of the first season, they were kind of had a rapport. But in the second season, she was going to start dating another guy, and it's going to go back and forth. Then they tried to date, it didn't work out. But at the end of all of this, they were supposed to be together. At the end of the run, they would be married. Now, Lisa Bonet was doing some of the episodes pregnant, and she didn't tell anyone that she was pregnant. And about time when people were finding out that she was pregnant and they had finished the first season, and they said, we got a problem here. She's pregnant. And this was a blow to Bill Cosby, who felt betrayed because he's like, you have got like you've been put in a tremendous position. We have put you in a spot where this could be your life, and you just recklessly did this. And he was upset about it. He had just went through the thing with her doing the movie that almost torpedoed her career, that he thought Angel Heart with Robert De Niro, and he just like, this movie is trash, just like, can't believe you destroying the character. So after doing that movie, and then now she's pregnant, that was it. She had to be removed from the show. So now the writers are got to redo the entire season. The entire season's gone. Season 2 was already being worked upon, script and everything. So now you got to rewrite an entire season, change everything. So now, oh, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now you got to change everything that's going on. So when the changes came through, they brought in Debbie Allen, who tried to save the show. So it was just a mess because season 1 was focused on, like I told you, it was focused more on the relationships and comedy, boy chase girls, and they was like, we need more historical black college life on campus. So they got Debbie Allen in there. That's why she was brought in. She went to Howard. So she could revamp the show, and they can get things going. And, you know, Lisa Bonet got married to Lenny Kravitz. She's pregnant. She's with Lenny, and, they had to make the changes. So it was crazy. So they had to write a thing where she dropped out of college and traveled to Africa to go find her way, so you wouldn't see her for a minute. Now, Marisa Tomei, who was great on the first season of the show, they wanted to keep her around because she was so great, but they was just like, well, I don't, I don't know. It's just like, she went through so much with her character because she was white. It was like, this white girl on an all-black campus. This is unrealistic. And it was like, wait a minute, who says that only black people can go to like Howard or Spelman and all these other colleges? So this became an ongoing thing till Marissa Tomei eventually left, and her and another woman that was on the show, they were replaced with Cree Summers, and then the girl Chanel Brown, who played Kimberly. Kimberly. Then they brought Sinbad, who was just, a reoccurring one. They was up to the main cast. And they brought him and Ron. Both of them became the main cast members. Then they brought Dr. War. And now the show will be around Whitley Gilbert, who played the, antagonist to the protagonist, which happened to be, Denise in the first season. And in season one, the way it was done, Whitley was going to end up marrying Ron, and Dwayne was going to end up marrying Denise. But we never see Ron and Whitley get married. They ended up being a couple. They lived happily ever after. That's how the script was going to go when the first season done. Ron was going to marry Whitley. They were going to date and end up getting married. And he became something in Alabama like a used car salesman. And Dwayne became this really smart tech guy, had his own invention, and they became very rich and wealthy. But that's how the script was going off. Dwayne and Denise getting married. So the show was going to end with a wedding. They were actually getting married. The whole Cosby cast was going to be there. That was how they were going to end the show when they did it. But that whole thing blew up. In smoke, the whole thing's done. Now you're starting fresh. Now the anchors are going to be Whitley and Dwayne. And eventually these two are going to be together. They can't stand each other. Same scenario. But now they are the stars of the show. And Whitley became the person that in the first season nobody could stand. Then she ends up being not just a person you couldn't stand, but she ends up being a person you could sympathize with now. You understand, she had it kind of rough, you know. She grew up very naive to a lot of things. And it wasn't that she was a mean person, she just didn't know. She grew up in a very superficial upbringing. And as you guys probably know now, Jasmine Guy was never, ever, ever like Whitley Gilbert. In a lot of ways, she was really, really down to earth. So, coming from Broadway and doing these different shows with Dawn Lewis being on the show and continuing her dominance, she was very key and very important to the show because when Dawn Lewis was there, I felt that she was a very strong, older woman going back to college to get her degree. That showed a lot of diversity, a lot of strength, and a lot of range into the script. Because now you're adding substance in there. Because now you're not just doing it with a bunch of teenagers. Now you actually have somebody on the show that's worth something. Because there are a lot of people who get later in life decide to go back to college and get a degree. Some people are going back to universities. They had a character that they could relate to. Now, Sinbad had left the show and then came back to the show as the coach, Coach Walter Oakes. Then his character ended up marrying, like they were dating. Him and Don Lewis' character was dating her and Walter. So that was going on. It's a lot of people dating each other. A lot of things started to happen as the show got popular. The show got more popular in season two. Then in season three, it was like everybody was watching the show, and it was all about Whitley. It didn't miss a beat when Denise left. The first season's always gonna be the highest season, but in the second season was just as high. They really was averaging about 20 million homes. They was doing 25, 22, 23 homes, and then it went to like season four. It started to drop off. They were doing like 17 homes by season four. And the reason why, sorry about that. The reason why it dropped off like so dramatically from season three to four was a very good reason. The show had lost to something by season four. By season four, everybody was a little, kind of down with the show. You kind of knew where the show was going. There was a bunch of new characters in there that you got to try to relate to, and people kind of felt like it's a sameness to the show. But I think the best season they had was probably season five, when everybody is of age, and people have graduated and they're getting jobs and they're out living in the real world. I think there, when Dwayne Wayne was not the goofy kid anymore, he was a grown man and he was living on his own, I think. And then him and Whitley was moved in together, and their relationship has gotten serious. And these things here were some of the seasons, the parts of the seasons of the show that I liked, when he was actually the teacher and actually teaching. You saw him as a immature boy who grew into a man, and that was what I wanted to see more of. And that's what I liked about the show, was the growth. But the people who were so fans of these shows, they kind of grew into some. They grew up, So most of those people grew and started doing stuff and moving in a different world, was something they used to watch when they were a little younger. Now they out in the world, they doing stuff. So new shows come on, so people just try to balance. A show normally lasts about 5, 6 seasons if you're lucky. You just try to maintain a high number, for as much as you can. Normally 3, 4 years, the numbers taper off. That's gonna happen. But after the fourth season, the show dropped dramatically from being in the top five television shows to barely being in the top 20. But see, that's what I like about season five: explosiveness. You found out a lot of different things. You saw that they had the mammy dolls in the exhibits, when they learned that some African American ancestors were slave owners too. They had a whole bunch of different things in there. Someone sprayed the N word on Ron's card that episode. There's a lot of like stuff that was going on the show that I definitely was down with. As far as relationship wise, Man, we got that's hard. I think Ron. I think Cree Summers was actually dating Kadeem Harrison in real life, and Ron, the guy character that played Ron, he had been with Vanessa. She had guest starred on an episode of A Different World. They met up, and then they dated for a while. And I think Ron actually dated, I think, either Kim on the show. He had dated one of the other cast members on the show before he ended up with Vanessa, and they had been together for like 25, 30 years. I think they probably just split up. But they had been together all those years. Tempest Bledsoe. That's Dwayne Bell's, like, that's been her, like, main girl forever. I love those. I miss this show, man. I really do. I miss that this show was. I miss this show was not on television anymore. I miss the characters. If they bring back a show, they need to bring back A Different World. Now that's a show they need to bring back. Definitely. Different World was gonna spin off a lot of shows. People were gonna get their own like relationship show. We were supposed to have a show with um, Raven Simone was supposed to come out there and get her own show, but she ended up getting her. She got a better deal. She got the Disney Channel, and when she got the Disney Channel, she's like, "I'm out. I got other stuff to do." When they got her on there, she was gonna get her own show and everything. But the other kids were supposed to have a show. Theo was supposed to go to college, and we were supposed to get Theo going to college and doing his own show, and then that ended up being integrated into the Cosby Show, just leaving it on the Cosby Show. But Theo's college life was supposed to be its own show, and that didn't happen. So he stayed at home. They had him getting kicked out of the dorms, going back home, and then Dad had to get him back out there to live with his buddies in the dorm. That was supposed to be a show. That was the whole thing with the landlord and him and his roommates, his buddies, and living in college at the dorm. So you get to see the guys' version, Theo and his buddies. And they tried it out, and they just like, we're not gonna pull the plug on that one. I mean, we ain't gonna go with that just yet. So everybody on the show had went to at least visit A Different World, except for Elvin, who actually graduated from there. Oh yeah, and Pam, she never was on there. But yeah, Elvin was the only one that never appeared on there, and he's the one that graduated from there. Now, where should we go now? Man, y'all got me thinking about this show so much. YouTube premiere, you should know how much this was like my show. Like, man, everything I'm thinking about, episodes and everything. Y'all finna have me go and break it out and finna go through a whole binge. I'm gonna be a whole half bag full of gummy bears. Ron, you stupid. When Ron had Walter's cousin in there, he did the spill the drink on a shirt. Oh, you can change into one of mine. Next thing you know, Ron is good. He Walter come up there. He was, hey man, yeah, I got a girl up here. Things, kind of hooking, heating up. He was, oh, okay. Well, let me see her. Let me see who you got up in here. Then he see it's his niece. That was it. That was like the funniest episode. He went into a karate stance. Oh my goodness. Oh man. Man, that's hilarious. But anyway, I'm not gonna hold you guys, but everybody was really gonna get a spinoff show. A relationship show was supposed to happen. But because of the way the ratings were, then there was not a big interest to see Dwayne and Whitley go off. And they never went with that part of the show. And the Cosby Show had ended at this time, and there was no movement with the rest of the characters of the show. So it was just like everybody's going their own ways and doing something different. So they were just like, no, just end it. Just end it and we'll start anew. And we'll just get some new ideas, some new shows, and keep moving. So that was it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget, there are more TV shows. I have to make a playlist and put this in a playlist so that you guys can just one click shop, so you guys can watch the truth behind all the television shows and stuff. Uh, don't forget Cash App, fellas. Donate to the page so that we can get these done for you quicker and faster. You can click the link in the description box. And we have our super chat there where you can donate to the page, and you could always subscribe to the page, and then I'm gonna put 4 videos up there so you can watch them, and hopefully they're enjoyable to you. And thank you for your time.